Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. Hey, this is Merle and Linda Hutchinson, and today we are excited to welcome a guest to the Rock Solid Radio show. A stand-in guest, an emergency guest is what we have today. We'd like to welcome Amy Deaton from Big Brothers Big Sisters to the Rock Solid Radio show. Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we were going to interview your boss, but some difficult things happened and you had to step up. So we thank you for stepping up for us.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
All right. So, Linda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Welcome. The sun is shining.
We have a little sunshine in Indiana, and so we celebrate those days. Those are almost like Christmas. We don't get them very often, so we like to celebrate those.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're going to get into some good conversation and learn a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters. We actually have a friend who does some work with you guys who is really excited about the work, and he was talking to us, and we thought, with the type of service that you guys provide at Big Brothers Big Sisters, we feel like we need that's in line with what we do at Rock Solid Families, helping families, especially families that need that extra help, whether it's a parent support or working with marriages or whatever. That's where we are, and you guys step right in there with the kid side of things. And so we just want to learn more about what Big Brothers Big Sisters is up to, and just want to welcome you to the show today. Okay.
Yeah, great.
All right. Before we get too much into that, we'd like to thank some of our sponsors here. We want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of Rock Solid Radio. So for any of your landscaping needs, go down and check out Casey's Outdoor Solutions.
Yeah.
Hun,
we also want to thank Maxwell Construction for their support of Rock Solid Radio. They've been with us from the very beginning. So we thank both of our sponsors for just coming alongside us, and important messages like we're going to be talking about today with you, Amy.
Yeah. Also, just a couple of quick announcements before we get moving. Hun, our numbers that we have coming through our door are at an all-time high. And while that's good for business, that also speaks to the need that is out there with marriages and families and the stresses and things that are going on. And one of the things that we talk about all the time in our work is that the family is the fabric for our community. And if you are dealing with a lot of problems and challenges in your community, one of the first places we need to look is in that family. We can't legislate problems away. We have to help raise good families, and problems can be dealt with through that. And so one of our offers right here is, if you're in a struggling situation, in a marriage, a family situation, a parenting situation, and it's just not going well, reach out to us at Rock Solid Families. Get some help. Our number is 812-576-7625. You can always look us up on Rock Solid Radio, or rocksolidfamilies.org, and just check our website out, and you can see some of our offerings there. But the bottom line is, we're just trying to help mend and build and encourage families.
Speaking of families, one of the things that we make sure we tell parents, because we've had a lot of parents on that have been calling us, and Amy, just who are struggling, the family unit. And it's been a year now with the pandemic. And so a lot of our kiddos have really struggled in this season. And so they come to us asking to help with their 8-year-old or 12-year-old or 15-year-old. And so one of our rules of thumb is that we meet with the parents first. And we sit down with them and we try to see what's going on in the home and what they see and what's going on with the parents. And so that's one of our rules of thumb. So if you're out there and you're listening and this is really resonating with you, please call us, like Merle said, but just know that we're going to try to get to the fabric of the family unit and how we can help from the ground up.
Yes, very good. So another thing is, as we talked earlier about sunshine,
Sunshine.
one of the things that we do in our office is we're about faith, family, and fitness. And so we do a lot of personal training work, a lot of exercise and fitness. And so let's start working on that winter blubber. It's time to it's time to get back in shape. But, everybody waits till all of a sudden July and they go, how did I get this way? And so we want to encourage people, come on out, get your exercise started, come join us. We teach fitness classes 6 days a week at our office, which is at 7484 Christina Drive in St. Leon, Indiana. So also we teach 6 days a week. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. And that's Tuesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. And I do a Saturday class, and it's just for men.
Yeah.
And we call that our Strong Dads class. And so we just do 45 minutes workout with a 45-minute study for encouraging men. So, all right, enough.
Yeah.
Let's get to Amy.
Amy's sitting here waiting.
Amy's being kind and patient. Okay. So Amy, again, we want to thank you for joining us on Rock Solid Radio. Tell us a little bit about just what you do with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and just kind of help fill in the gap a little bit to get us started about the organization and your job there.
Sure. So I have been with Big Brothers Big Sisters. It will be 10 years in April. And I have been kind of a jack of all trades. My official title is Match Support and Enrollment Specialist, which is a fancy way of saying getting matches up and running and then taking care of the matches once they are up and running. But in addition to that, I also help out with our local fundraising event that we have each year, which is called Bull for Kids' Sake. And when we're able to be in the schools, as we know, nothing is typical right now because of COVID. But I also go into the schools several days a week to run our school-based program there, which right now, as I mentioned before we were on air, is virtual. So I kind of do interview the volunteers, interview the children, find a good match, pair them up. And then one of the things that's really great about Big Brothers Big Sisters is once our matches are paired, we don't kind of set them off and say good luck. We stay involved throughout the life of the match with monthly contacts for the first year and then quarterly contacts after the first year that we call match support. Kind of work through the celebrations and the trials that the matches might go through, help them out with any problem solving that they need along the way, and above all, make sure that the child that comes into our program is always safe. Second priority, that they're having fun, but first of all, always that they're safe in our program.
Yeah.
What makes a child eligible to be a little brother or a little sister?
Yeah, so really, ideally, any child is eligible for Big Brothers Big Sisters. There are no guidelines as far as income or having to come from a single parent home or anything along those lines. We truly believe that any child could benefit from having an extra positive role model in their life. But that being said, typically most of the children that come into our program come from low-income households, come from single parent families, or live with a grandparent. Many of them have an incarcerated parent or a family with a history of maybe substance use or abuse, things like that, but not all of them. There is no specific criteria that they have to meet to qualify to benefit from a mentor.
So even a child that has both parents living in the home could be eligible for something like this? Is that?
Definitely. Yeah. If it's a child that struggles maybe with self-esteem, or they have trouble making friends or something along those lines, maybe they have both parents at home, but school is a real problem for them for some reason or another. And we feel like it's not quite the situation where they need professional therapy or counseling, but they just need an extra role model in their life. And that's definitely still a child that we can help. That's not to say that a child that does require professional therapy or counseling wouldn't qualify for our program, because they certainly would. But we take a look and say, are this child's issues something that are on the line of they need professional help in order to benefit from our services, or maybe they need both, or maybe, one or the other. So we kind of try to take a look at that during the interview process and make sure that they're getting the services that are most appropriate for them.
What about the big brother, the big sister? What qualifies them? What's requirements for that to be one of those?
Sure. So basically, anybody that wants to help a child and has the right intentions to be a good role model for that child. So our bigs, depending on which program, so we do have a community-based program where people go to the child's home and pick them up and take them out in the community and do things together. And then we have a school-based program where they go into the school once a week during the child's lunch and recess time and have lunch and play games together, but they don't take them anywhere in their vehicle out into the community.
Mhm.
So depending on which program, they can be anywhere from 15 years old up to we've got volunteers that are more than 70 years old. So
Mhm.
anybody from any walk of life that wants to be a good role model can. Part of the process to becoming a volunteer is we do multi-layered background checks, we do reference checks, we do a thorough, lengthy interview. Um, Typically that would be at the volunteer's home, but right now, again, these things are taking place virtually
Yeah.
because of COVID. I feel like that's the disclaimer for everything right now.
hmm So, Big Brothers Big Sisters is national. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. But you guys, do you run out of like, we're in the tri-state Cincinnati area. Do you run out of Cincinnati, or are you your own little entity over in Southeast Indiana? How does that work?
So we are Big Brothers Big Sisters Greater Cincinnati, but Christy and I are the Indiana staff, and we focus only on the Indiana and Harrison, Ohio program. So that's
Okay.
Dearborn, Ohio, and Ripley counties in Indiana, and then Harrison, Ohio. Our main office is in Cincinnati on Reading Road in the United Way building, and we serve 13 counties in the area
Okay.
as an office. But we do have staff that are kind of delegated towards different areas.
So how many matches do you have in this area, just to give people a perspective of like your region?
Sure. So in 2020, we ended the year having served over 75 kids in our region, which was down quite a bit from a normal year because in the fall, we typically make a bunch of matches in our school-based program and didn't get to make any matches in our school-based program this year because of the pandemic and not being able to get into the schools and switching from that in-person platform to a completely virtual platform. There was just a lot in our way. On a typical year, so in 2019, we served over 125 children in our area locally. So we'll get back to that. We're planning on this fall being able to get back to making more matches, hopefully in person. Time will tell with that. As an agency in 2020, we served over 1,000 matches. I think our official number was 1,025 matches last year. So we were down 11% from the goal that we had set, but nationwide, agencies were down an average of 19% from the goal that was set for them. So we were in a pretty good position to still serve more than would be expected during a pandemic, I guess.
Right.
So what's the greatest need for you? I'm guessing bigs.
Absolutely. We are always looking for more volunteers, either in the community-based or site-based program. We especially are always looking for more male volunteers, but we would love to have more of both, female and male. We don't get a lot of male volunteers, especially in the community-based program locally.
Wow.
And then also if people are interested in getting involved and don't quite have the time to commit to being a volunteer, we also have ongoing fundraiser events that, if they want to support us, but volunteering isn't either for them or it's not the right time for them to commit, we also do have fundraisers to be able to continue to serve the matches.
What time commitment is involved in being a big brother, big sister?
So for the community-based program, we typically ask for a minimum of a year and a minimum of an hour a week. So I always like to be really realistic so that people really know what they're getting into. An hour a week is conservative. By the time that you drive to your little's house, pick them up, we're rural, so you're going to have a little bit of a drive to get anywhere to do anything with them. And then drive them back home and get yourself back home. You're investing more than an hour. And I just don't want anybody to sign up and say, hey, you said an hour a week and this is a little bit more than that. So I just like to let people know up front, what they're getting into. So we like an hour of face-to-face time per week with their little, but keeping in mind that you're going to have a bit of driving time. That being said, we do try to match volunteers with littles that are in their area to cut down on some of that driving. So we're not going to ask a volunteer from, Lawrenceburg to drive to Moores Hill or something like that. And then for the school-based program, it's closer to 45 minutes to an hour per week, and that's only when school is in session. So they don't meet over the summer and they don't meet during school breaks. And it does cut down on the driving part because you're going to the school, meeting with them there, and then leaving. You're not taking them anywhere to do something with them.
So you use the word big. So a volunteer, is it called a big, right?
Sure.
We
Yes.
can't assume these things. And so can a person take care of more than one child?
No, our matches are one-on-one. So
Okay.
each volunteer gets matched with one child, and that just allows them to really build that one-on-one friendship with each other. Let that kid know that they are the only focus of that big, at least during their time together, and be kind of that priority while they are spending that hour a week together.
Yeah. That's great stuff. So, how long have you guys been in existence in Southeast Indiana?
So it has been, I don't know the exact number of years, which shame on me, but I know that it's been over 20 years. Laura Rolfe, who was a staff person with us until the end of last year, she retired, has been with the agency for over 20 years, and she kind of got us up and running out here in this area.
So, well, and I asked that because now you have some time to really see, what do you see are the positive outcomes for kids? Like what, if I've got a little child and I feel like I want to get a big brother or big sister involved in their life, what kind of things do you expect that the volunteers going to be able to feed into their life?
Sure. So that kind of varies by child depending on what they've going on or got going on. But a lot of the kind of group things that we see as a whole are a lot of times the kids seem to improve in school. First of all, they stay in school as they get to those older years and they keep going, which is great. They kind of have better educational expectations. So they expect more of themselves in school. We see them avoiding risky behaviors, so making smarter choices, maybe avoiding peer pressure or, not doing things that get themselves into some trouble. Just knowing that someone cares about them and getting that one-on-one undivided attention can kind of cut out some of those less than great attention-seeking behaviors that kids can sometimes have at school or at home. We see improved attendance. We see them just feeling a little bit more confident about themselves, knowing, hey, somebody's taking the time out to come and be just with me every week. So they kind of feel, recognize that they are important and that someone cares enough to do that for them.
Yeah. So what, one of the concerns I think that if I'm as an outsider, if I'm thinking about volunteering, what if I get a match that's not a very good match? Is how do we work through that? If we start to either the child feels uncomfortable or I as the adult feel uncomfortable, are you still committed to the year, or is there counseling to help the two work through it? How does that work, just so that we don't cause more damage than good?
Sure, that's a really good question. So we kind of start working on that before you ever meet your little. So one of the things that we do at Big Brothers Big Sisters is we ask a lot of questions during the interview, both with the volunteer and the child, about personality types, about interests and things you like to do, things like, are you more active or are you more of a sit back and watch kind of person, things like that. And then we compare those before making the match. So we put a lot of work in ahead of time to make sure that we think you're going to be compatible and that you're going to be a good fit. So we never do, this is the next volunteer in line and this is the next child in line, pair them up and let them go. So, a child might wait a little bit longer to get the right fit because like you said, we don't want to do more harm than good by creating a failed relationship that was, destined to not work out. And then the next thing that we do is before a match, we call you So we call the volunteer first and give kind of a profile of the child, basic information, things that are important to know, some family history, and say, does this sound like a child that is going to be a good fit for you and that you feel like you can be compatible with? And if you say yes, then we call the family, give a profile of the volunteer, and go through the same thing. So we've already put our professional opinion into whether you'll be a good fit and given you guys each the chance to say whether this sounds like a good fit or not. Then once you are matched, it does happen where sometimes for some reason or another, something comes up and things aren't going so well. That's where our match support comes in really nicely. So like I said before, we do call once a month to check in. We always tell our matches, we want to know about problems while they're little, because we can take care of little problems much easier than we can take care of big problems. So I always tell my littles, even if you're bored with the outings, I want to know, because we want to fix that before it becomes, you just don't want to go at all or something like that. So we work through things and try to, correct and repair any issues that would come up. But if it were to come to the point where everyone was miserable, nobody was benefiting from the match, it just overall was not a good fit, then you are not locked in for the full year. We are going to put a lot of work in ahead of time to try to continue that and make it a lasting, strong relationship. And sometimes working through those little conflicts just helps make people that much stronger, because you've been able to work through an issue. But if we cannot, then as a last resort, we would be able to close out the match and not have that continue.
Especially because some of those kiddos that you're matching have already been through rejection or somebody leaving or somebody not
Absolutely.
around or fighting for them. And so the last thing you want to do is have someone else kind of leave them.
Definitely. And we try to make that very clear to our volunteers that that is the last thing these kids need. Any kid, but especially a kid who's already been through a lot of disappointment and hurt. Kids take it personal, whether it's their fault that a parent might not be in the picture. It's absolutely not their fault, but they question whether it's their fault, or what could they have done. So we don't want them to have those feelings all over again about a volunteer. So yeah, we try to do everything we can to make those matches last at least a year. A lot of matches, we get to that 1 year mark and they have no thoughts of slowing down. Things are still going great and they're in it for the long haul. But we do try to get them at least to that 1 year mark.
Being in ministry for 20 years, I had some students in my ministry that you just wanted to scoop up and take home, that you didn't want them to go home to the situation they were going home to. And several of them had big brothers, big sisters that were their lifeline. And they grew up with that person in their life as being their biggest cheerleader. And to see them as adults now, and to see that big brother, big sister still in their life, having influence and still cheering them on, it really makes you believe in the program and know that one person can make a difference. You can be that one.
Definitely. And it's not about the big things. It's really about the simple, everyday kind of things. So our volunteers, I think sometimes people hesitate because they think they're not enough to do something like this, but everybody is. It's as simple as going to get a kid and taking them, on a sunny day like today, on a walk on the walking trail and just spending that time talking to each other. That doesn't feel like much to us because it's just something that is second nature, but to these kids who maybe don't get that because, mom has to work lots of hours to keep the house running, or they live with grandma and grandpa are tired and, they can't get out to the walking trail, or whatever it might be in their situation, that lends to them not really getting to do those things. That makes all the difference to those kids. There is a waiting period once our kids are matched in the community-based program of 3 months before they can go to the volunteers' home. And that's to give them time on neutral turf to get to know each other, make sure the match is going well, make sure the kid is feeling safe and comfortable before they go to the volunteers' home. But once they do, it's really simple things like sitting down around the table playing a board game or preparing a meal together. It really is just those little simple things that are so easy to do that make so much of a difference to these kids.
Are you let's just say things are going really well and you get a good connection with this kid. Are you permitted to take the kid overnight, maybe a vacation, a weekend or whatever way, or is that frowned upon?
So typically, again, this is one of those things that is different right now. In the past, our policy has been after the match has been together for 1 year. If things are going well, there's been no concerns or issues in the match, and the family and the volunteer have done a good job of keeping in contact with their monthly match support contacts, then they could apply for overnight privileges. And those are really things that are supposed to be more of a special occasion, like a couple of times a year, maybe. And they're typically one night at a time and not out of town. So it would be like maybe a movie night at the Big's house and the kid goes home the next day. Right now with COVID, we have suspended all overnights. Those are not taking place. I don't have any idea if or when those will come back. You know, that's up in the air, but right now we're not having them, but there is a process to that. We do put a lot of thought into whether that match is eligible for those overnights. And then there are some extra contacts that go in. So we call both the volunteer and the family beforehand and run through a checklist about what are you going to be doing? Where's the kid going to be sleeping? Who else might be involved? And then we do the same follow-up afterwards to make sure that everything went as planned.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
Be careful.
Is there a financial commitment by the big?
So no, Big Brothers Big Sisters, I shouldn't say no. Big Brothers Big Sisters is free for everyone to participate in. So there's no charge to the big or family to be a part of our program. The volunteers and the families are made clear to know that there is no financial support from the volunteer given to the family, meaning the family should never be asking for money to help with bills or school supplies or anything like that. The financial commitment that does kind of fall on the volunteer comes in what they would like to do with the little. So we really encourage our volunteers to strive for free or very low cost activities, because we really want it to be focused on the time that they spend with the child and not getting to go to Kings Island or the zoo every week, because then the kid just gets focused on doing these big outings.
Right.
But we do, you know, they do those kinds of activities on special occasions, maybe end of the school year or birthdays or things like that. But anything that the volunteer invites the child to do is at their expense. So if they want to go out to eat or they want to see a movie, those things would be at the expense of the volunteer.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look out and see the area and things that we are living in and the culture that we're in, what do you see are the challenges that that you guys are trying to meet, and are they growing? Are you stable? So what are some of the big challenges lying out there?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that sticks out to me the most that has grown in prevalence over my time at Big Brothers Big Sisters is the amount of children coming from homes with substance abuse issues, as is typical with our community in general. It's just a growing issue, and there are more and more kids who are either living in a home where there are substance abuse issues going on, or are living with, another relative or a grandparent because of the issues, or they have an incarcerated parent because of these issues. So I can see that really becoming a bigger problem all the time. And then we have also seen an increase in kids in foster care. Probably most of the time related to those same issues going along with the substance abuse. So those are the biggest things that I've seen as far as kind of increasing along the way. Across the board, like I mentioned before, most of our kids come from a low income home, which lends to all of its own difficulties with parents being overworked, trying to make ends meet, or, just not having enough time and resources to do those extra things with their kids that a volunteer could take on by just spending that hour a week with them.
I didn't think about it, but you mentioned earlier, and we see this more and more in our work, and I saw it when I worked in the schools. A lot of our kids now are with grandma and grandpa. And so you mentioned the energy and stuff, and I'm thinking,
we're grandma and grandpas.
We're grandma and grandpas. And if I had an 8-year-old that I had to run around with every day, I would be like, man, I could use a big brother right now.
I can't jump on a trampoline, Amy, to save my life.
Oh, me neither. Yeah. No, I can't do that either. But yeah, I think grandparents should be in the role, ideally to be the Saturday night, give them
Yeah.
extra sweets and let them stay up late,
Yeah.
kind of in the position to be able to spoil kids. And I think there's a lot of grandparents out there that are in the position to start over raising a 10-year-old when they're, years of raising kids
Mm.
should have been over a while ago. And that's exhausting. I mean, it's exhausting for me, and I'm the right age to be doing it. So, I think anybody that can lend an extra hand and, get that kid out of the house for an hour a week and just be that extra support to them, it's definitely all about benefiting the child, but really it benefits the whole family to have that
Right.
extra support for that child.
And Amy, I'm so thankful for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Our kiddos need as much support as they can. We used to see that from the local church, and now there's so many families that are disconnected from a church home, a church family that speak into the lives of our children. And so I'm thankful that this program tries to encircle all of our kids with some other loving, positive voices, some mentorship that will help guide them on the right path. So thank you for what you guys are doing, because we desperately need that. And, if you're listening out there to our conversation with Amy and you know that you have something to give, I would just encourage you to reach out to your local chapter of Big Brothers Big Sisters, because honestly, our kiddos desperately need that more than ever before. They've spent a year in isolation and disconnection from teachers and coaches and youth group leaders and friends. And so we desperately need this. And so even if you have an hour to give where you can bring them home and have dinner around the table with your other kiddos and this child, or take them out to McDonald's for some Sundays, I mean, just those kind of things, our kids desperately need that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Amy, if somebody in our area that is listening to this, we're sparking their interest. That's a big part of why we're doing this, and we're just hopefully opening the door. How can they get in touch? Is there a website that you would recommend, or a phone number to call? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way is our website. It has tons of information about what it takes to be a big, the process, like all kinds of good statistics and things like that. And that website is www.bigsforkids.org. And on there, you can also fill out an online application, and it comes right to where it needs to be. So it would go through our main office, and they would get it on to Christy or I if you were in our local area, or if you're in the Cincinnati area, it will still get to the right person to be able to be a part of our program. And something I would
area too, because we have people who listen from all over the country. So there's Big Brothers and Big Sisters in pretty much every state, right? I mean,
definitely. Big Brothers Big Sisters of America has a website, bbbsa.org. So if you're elsewhere and you want to get involved, I would still highly encourage you to do so, because kids everywhere need a mentor. And if you go to that website, it can get you to the agency that serves your area. And then something that we also like to mention is, if you are in the position where you think, gosh, I'd really like to help this agency and be involved, but now is not the time for me to commit to volunteering. My kids are young and I need to focus on them at home or whatever. We do also do fundraising events that we would love to have people be a part of, if that's how they are more able to contribute now. So locally, for our Southeast Indiana program, we have a bowling fundraiser that we do every year. Typically, it would be coming up in the next couple of weeks, but this year we have pushed it to October with the hopes of being able to have that be an in-person event, because if we did it now, it would not be. So it'll be on October 24th, and it's going to be a Halloween theme at Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg. And it should be it's fun every year, but I think with the Halloween theme, it'll be that much more fun with people dressing up and things like that. So that information is on our website as well.
And can people make just private donations? Do they mail them, or is there a way that they can access that?
Yeah, sure. There's a way to do it online through the campaign website, which is to be found through the bigsforkids.org. There's a drop down under events, and then Bowl for Kids' Sake. They could mail them to our main office, which is 2400 Reading Road, Cincinnati, Ohio 45202. They can always get a hold of me through my email, which is Deaton, Deaton @bigsforkids.org. But most of the time, the way that works is people create a team of 5 to 6 people, and each person on the team raises $100, which can be pretty easy to do if you just post it on your Facebook and get a couple people to give you $20, you've got pretty much got it made. And then you come bowl with us and you get free pizza, some free drinks, lots of door prizes, and it's just a fun day where we thank you for your, generosity in raising the funds or contributing to the funds, and celebrate Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Amy, is there anything that we're going to get ready to wrap things up here. Is there anything that you just want to get out there to our listeners or our viewers to help the mission here?
Sure. I would say if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence and just interested in maybe learning more, you can feel free to get a hold of our agency. That doesn't commit you to having to follow through with being a volunteer. There's no harm in contacting us and just asking whatever questions you might have. This is kind of an overview, but lots of people have lots more questions. For their specific situation. So go to that website or email me. Again, it's Deaton, DEATON @bigsforkids.org. And I can answer any questions that you might have. We can set up a phone call to talk more and just see if it might be the right fit for you. Maybe there's a kid out there that's waiting specifically for you to come and be that bright spot in their life. We have a vision that every kid would reach their full potential. And we call ourselves defenders of potential, and we just want to help those kids become the full self that they can be, not settle for less because they're in a difficult situation as a child. We believe that they can be everything they were created to be, and we want to help them get there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, Amy, we greatly appreciate you and Christy and what you guys are doing here in our community through Big Brothers Big Sisters. We just want to continue to encourage you guys to do what you're doing. And Hunt, like you mentioned, you're not necessarily faith-based or church affiliated, but you're actually being kind of the hands and feet of Christ in terms of meeting the need, no matter who the child is. And so we just want to thank you. You guys are stepping outside of the boundaries, so to speak, and just doing great work. So thank you guys for doing that. And any of our listeners or viewers out there, man, if this is laid on your heart, I mean, if you've found yourself thinking about this type of thing before, and we've had friends like, I've always thought about being a big brother or big sister, move on it, move on it. Talk's cheap, right? We need some action. And so you even said, Amy, that you guys are always in need of bigs and primarily males, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so if you feel like, you could reach into a child's life, this is a great opportunity to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. And thank you so much for having us and helping us kind of spread the word of what Big Brothers Big Sisters is all about, and maybe spark that interest. And I'm right there with you. One of the things that Tony and I have talked about on the phone several times is it's not enough to just think about it or talk about it. You have to do it. You have to get out there and do it to make it count. So we're ready to have the people calling and getting more information, and hopefully signing up to be the light in the life of a child.
Yeah. Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, again, we want to thank you, and we want to thank Big Brothers Big Sisters and Christy. Also, we just want to thank all of our people out there that support this type of conversation. Again, one of the things that we talk about all the time, Amy, when we're working with people is there's a lot of conversation out there, and some of it's negative and some of it's positive. This type of conversation needs to be lifted up. And so even if you yourself are not interested in this program, but somebody who maybe is, spread this show, spread this word. These are the kind of conversations that we have to bring to the surface and make them more common if we're really going to help our communities and our families. So that is our encouragement to all of you out there listening and watching. We also would like to thank our sponsors again for just coming alongside of us, both Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Maxwell Construction. We want to thank those guys. They are big community supporters, and they believe in these kinds of missions. And so it's companies like that help breathe some life into these kind of missions. So we want to thank those guys. Hun, you want to sign us off here?
Yeah. Thank you, Amy, for joining us. Thank you for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day. Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200.